It was the experience stored in their reservoir and memory that produced the change that came about later. Hi, and welcome to the Perceptive Readers this week, everyone. Did you know it is not always the situation whether or not two people can get along together, you see, or not, as I said. It is the timing and it is the environment. What do I mean by this? Well, I want to share an event that has been made for excellent, see, I'm not going to even say good, but excellent creative writing. In many books, it's the same format that brings about happiness, it brings about joy, and then once again, exhilaration, depending on where the author wants to take it. But it does make for good reading, even long novel-like readings, you see. But the point is, even though it makes for good reading, good writing, a good story, I'm here to tell you today that no matter how the writers or the authors do it, I can tell you they are so on point that really maybe everything didn't happen 100% of the way that they're writing, because remember, everybody's unique and got a unique taste. But I tell you what, the premise, some of the activities, etc., actually happens in real life all the time. And especially as what people may consider our modern era, you see. From the 20th century, see, even though already once we hit the millennium of 2000, 21st century, some people may already look at the history or past as being kind of old fashioned or no longer, valid. But I'm here to tell you today, for this scenario, this account, no, it's very much applicable. And so basically, you can see how sometimes fiction is based off of real live events, but, persons put their own little taste and flair to it and makes for excellent reading, excellent enjoyment, musicals, opera, etc., songs, etc., poetry. Let's see, I can't stop talking. So you can see real life events are inspiring. Now, let's focus more again on why I say it is not, always whether or not people can get along or not. It's actually the timing and the events. And this is what I mean. In some of these writings, and stories from happiness to sadness to exhilaration, once again, you will have individuals or even two persons, maybe of opposite, gender, male, female, that they meet one another at times, in these different stories, and they get along just great, and it happens during, happy graduation, these are summer months, okay? And it happens during the summer months where, they may be on a vacation spot, maybe traveling, or wherever you have it, they're not in their normal, environment, maybe work environment, maybe class environment, or what have you, where, they're in a totally different role and way of functioning or operating, okay? But yet, because they may still be now during the summer months, a vacation spot, relax, no role that they have to take upon, no responsibilities in a serious way, because they're actually in a totally different environment. And they have time to, as the expression goes, decompress. See, it's amazing what the recreation and vacation does for people who really know how to enjoy them. They decompress. And it may take, cause after the trip, sometimes you still kind of, from picking up all the luggage and traveling, whether it's, plane, boat, train, or what have you, you may still have to relax or sleep for that first day or first night, get a good night's sleep. And that's the start of decompressing. And another expression is some people may start to feel more themselves that, maybe they haven't felt that way in months because of having so much pressure upon them. Well, you find the people starting to become more friendly, more acceptable and susceptible to even talk or have conversations, listen to things that they normally wouldn't even listen to because they have to be so focused on whatever it is their role is back in another environment. But during this time, during this break, whether it's on vacation or not, but the environment has certainly changed for such persons that it allows them to actually be more open because they're more relaxed. Maybe they had certain aspects of their emotions and even physical, injuries and things of that nature that they could never really get quite the pain out until they had that nice break, that nice long break. I can tell you there are some persons, and this is what some actually did who were in the military. A lot of them didn't even take vacations throughout the year, except but maybe once a year, because that way they could store up and get even extra, days, so to speak, where they could practically take a whole month and a half vacation, from all that hard work that they did for 11 months, even in the military. That's just a side note to let you see how during that whole time, when some of these persons are in some of these environments, they may be known to be just, straight, use the expression, dress right, do things just so, or what have you. But then once they're able to go to a nice recreation spot, whether it's a family or friend, or like I said again, hey, they go and enjoy nature all to themselves. Well, the change comes over when the decompressing comes on them, where at one point during the past 11 months, they may have had a very serious look on their face. But now that they're in this environment, they're not only relaxing, but they're even cracking jokes that people wouldn't even believe that they know how to crack, they are relaxed, okay? So that gives a lot of opportunity to enjoy a lot of more widening out, so to speak, a lot of more to learn, to engage, to conversate, etc. You see what I'm talking about? And so, after it's all over and everything, and the person is thoroughly healed, if you will, from even maybe physical ailments that they had, and the brain is once again firing on all cylinders because they've had enough sleep that they finally needed to get and things of that nature. Then they end up going back, back to their role, their other environment. Happy, all the way happier, happier people, so to speak. That's what, relaxation and decompressing does for us. That's what, recreational environments do for us and, things of that nature. Okay. Now, hopefully you've experienced this in your life. And I know, for many of you, you have experienced this scenario. Now, here is the point in conclusion. Remember when I stated in the beginning, it is not even whether two people can get along or not. It is the timing or the environment. See, here is the point. When persons are on vacations and in different environments, taking some time to get away from their regular routine at times, It has been observed and even stated among some of them at times that persons will say, I'm glad I ran into you here, because if I would have ran into you back here or back there, we wouldn't have even said hello to one another. In fact, we might have even been enemies or hating on one another. Who knows? See, such statements have been said in jokes or jests at times as well with certain persons. But I'm going to share something else with you. And it reminds me, remember I told you about one of those stories that has been written and was very popular. I'm not going to mention the name. Maybe you'll figure it out, just to show you how much decompressing can do for a person. One main character, which was a male, had went on like a summer break, and he ran into this very, very, once again, nice, good-natured young lady, you see. And during that time, he had decompressed so much that he was very mannerly, you see what I'm saying? Very respectful, very cool in all the wonderful ways that a person can be cool, you see, in the way of respect and dignity. However, when he went back to, his environment, the coolness that he had, that he was known for, was actually opposite from the coolness that he was, actively practicing when he was in another time and another environment. And it was noticed when that nice young lady ended up showing, up in his school that he was now at. And briefly, he reverted back to that same personality, that happiness, the personality that nothing was wrong back there, but over here, now they probably looked at him and say, ooh, he's a nerd, he's cheesy, he's a whatever, but he certainly wasn't. But all the same, that's the way it was looked at upon at first. And what happened when it was realized that his friends saw him come out of character from the way that they knew him to be as far as being cool, which coolness do you think he switched to? Do you think he stayed with the one that was over the summer break of well mannerly and, respectful dignity and didn't mind showing emotions at all? Or did he go back to the opposite, of that, which was still considered cool, in the environment that he was in? Well, you probably figured it out, even for good writing, why this was the case. But see, I brought all of this up to really go to show you that there really are people today, that we run into here and there and everywhere or what have you, with different backgrounds. And sometimes you can ask yourself, even though you're not feeling feeling like they're too approachable or this way or that now, how do you not know it's really all because of the type of environment and the timing of it all that we're living in today? What I'm going to say to that is this. In paradise, which we talk about quite a bit, God's paradise, the environment is going to be conducive for everyone to get along. If they want to get along, it's going to be conducive for that. And the timing, from what the scriptures say, even before we totally go back to, spiritual perfection, so to speak, at least in the meanwhile, we're still going to already be, returned back to physical perfection, you see, because, we got to be healed from ailments and stuff to work and everything for how long? For the course of a thousand years, to bring this earth back to the, or to make it even more, you see, like the Garden of Eden that was spread throughout the whole earth in beauty. Even deserts will actually have beautiful plants and grass and things of that nature, you see. And then, after 1,000 years, we'll see what happens from there. But the whole point is, keep this in mind. And see, and this is what I think God at least showed as well when he actually was delivering, remember, the nation of Israel, the parting of the Red Sea from Egypt. But did you know that so many of the Egyptians had saw those great miracles and powerful works on how God, whose personal name is Jehovah, was fighting for his people? You see, so many Egyptians had saw that. Now, I don't know the number. All I know is it said that it was a mixed crowd that came out of Egypt, you see, to be saved with the Israelites. You see, the Egyptians, and it mentions the Egyptians specifically as well, that some of them saw the great works and everything. And it was like, no, this is God already. And they wanted to go with God's people. Now, here's the question. Do you think maybe for some of them that up until that point of all these great miracles, they were actually worshiping idols in the way of the land of Egypt, etc., etc.? Most likely it was, because if you see what ended up happening just a few weeks later with them wanting to, come up with a golden calf and stuff, you can just figure out where they got that idea from. But the whole point is, it goes to show that persons who were not getting along before, you see, so to speak, God was still giving them the opportunity as he was going to take them to the Red Sea and into the promised land, you see, and everything, to have an opportunity to have an environment conducive, you see, to learn about him and to get along even more in peace. So that is just a thought that I wanted to share with you today, okay? And I just hope that everything is going well for you. And remember, it is not always whether a person is getting along with another one or not. Sometimes it's just the timing and the environment. But we do know, again, according to prophecy, God's word, we will have both to help us in the future. This was the Perceptive Readers Podcast. You have a wonderful day.